This is the GS3 economics lecture. Today we will discuss mainly three topics: production function, MPN, marginal cost is this thing, and quantity theory of money. Quantity theory of money is important, right? According to me, for as an UPSC aspirant, you must know these two things: one production function and one quantity theory of money. UPSC has indirectly asked question both in prelims, mainly in prelims related to quantity theory of money. Okay, so just to recap the previous class, in the previous class what we did, we discussed about three phases of the economics schools, mainly mercantilism, classical, new classical, and then we talked about your Keynes period. Okay, now we are moving into, in classical school, mainly this, we will talk about what is production function, what is the quantity theory of money. Let us first discuss production function. Okay, what it means. Okay, what you can do, you guys can please write the definition of production function. Let me just give you the what is the official definition of a production function. You can write production function summarizes the relationship between total inputs and total outputs given a technology, right? So what the function is? This is the function, right? Y is equal to F K bar N. See, here this is the output. This is your output, right? Let's say you are measuring GDP, income, you are measuring income. So like this is your output. This is a function. Here K is capital. K stands for capital and bar indicates it is constant in the short term, right? This bar, that is the, and this is capital, and this is your labor, right? So important. What is the important point? In the short run, capital is assumed constant. Okay. Now we will move into this is called production function, and this gives a relation between, let's say, what will be your output given that capital and labor, right? Now what you can do, please write few numbers. To understand the graph, you have to write few numbers. Let me take a few numbers that will help you visualize better. Let's say this is N, this is labor demand, N is labor demand, and Y is output, and MPN is given by delta Y upon, anyway, see what MPN means. For one additional labor, what will be the output? That is the meaning of MPN. Now given these numbers, let's say, I need few numbers. Labor is, let's say you are increasing labor tool 5, 6. Let's say in this case 0 labor and you are increasing 1, 1, 1, right? Then output is increasing from 0 to 10, 20, 28, 33, 34 and 32. Okay, this is your output, and just the ratio, right? Let's say 0, 0, this is right. So here what is the ratio? 10. Because, for one additional labor, how much output you are getting? 10. Here what is happening? Again 10, because one additional labor you are getting 10 output. Then see, now this is the important point. Now what is happening here? You increase one additional labor, but what is the additional? Only 8, right? Here what is happening? One more additional labor, but what is the increase? Only 5, right? Here one more additional, only 1, and what happened here? It becomes negative. So see, this is important, and this is what you generally observe in organization also. Initially, when you establish an organization, you need more amount of people, right, to run that organization. But as you keep on increasing the labor, there comes a point where adding more, see, this is called diminishing rate of return. See, when you are increasing labor more, the MPN means the output, given by, per additional addition of one labor, so that is diminishing. Okay, so how you can represent this graph? You can represent it like this. Initially, let's say, right? So here it is constant. Here it is, this is diminishing part, right? Here it is increasing part, this part, right? And this is your labor requirement and output, right? You understand this graph? So now I believe you guys have understood what is MPN, right? Now, and it is nothing. See, it is very normal to what it says. See, when you will study economics, this MPN will come again and again. Try to visualize it. What it says: if I add one more labor, what will the change in my output, right? So, and this is what you can see it here. Fine? Okay, wonderful.
What's the meaning of NPN?
Sorry?
And what is the meaning of NPN?
Marginal productivity, marginal product of labor, right? Marginal product of labor, that's what, how we define it. Now, see, all these terms which we are discussing are the part of classical school. In classical school, there is an important, not to say it principle, there is an important, how to say it, important tenet. What it says, just please write down. It says, just a minute. Okay. No. In the classical model, the labels of output and employment are determined solely by supply factor. Very, very important. See, what you say? In classical school, see, very, very important. In classical school, your output, sorry, what happened? Your output and employment are determined by only supply factors. Very, very important, right? Are determined by supply factors. See, if you understand this, see, what was our story in the previous lecture? We said that mercantilist school mainly followed two principles. What? Bullinism, that they try to accumulate precious metal, gold, silver, right? And second thing, they wanted intervention of a state to create market for the goods. But what the classical school said, no. Classical school said they want to focus only on the real factors and no state intervention, right? So from that no state intervention and real factors emerges this thought. What? That output and employment are determined only by supply factor, not by demand factor. Okay, so see, one indirect implication of this is that, let me show you one graph. What it says, this is your output. Let's say this is your output, right? These are demand curves, right? Okay, just a minute. Let me just see. Aggregate price level. Yeah, okay. Otherwise, you can draw it like this as well. Okay, just remove this thing. You can, we are not bringing in demand as present. So this is your price. This is price level. Okay, this is the price level. So what it directly say? This is constant. This is constant as per the classical school. Okay, this is a very, very important, see, generally after, after 1930s, depression, Keynes overtook this, refuted the ideas of classical school. But this thought you must know, that output is constant as per the classical school. Any doubt so far? You understand the basic tenets of the classical school, you understand MPN, you understand this graph, price level, and that output is constant, and you understand that your output and employment is determined mainly by supply factors in classical school. Okay? With this foundation, we will move forward. Now, you must know, although so let's say when you study economics, such topics you have to study rigorously, but there is one formula which you must know. This formula is इज इक्वल टू वेजेस अपॉन MPNI, right? This is marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost. Marginal cost means simply, let's say if factory is producing simply stylus, right? If you produce one more stylus, what will the cost? See, generally what happens, let's say somebody establishes a factory, so there is some first fixed cost, right? पहले फैक्ट्री लगाना पड़ेगा, right? फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे, वो सब है, उसके बाद आता है वेरिएबल कॉस्ट, वेरिएबल कॉस्ट, राइट? सो लेट्स से आपको फैक्ट्री लगाने में मान लीजिए 5 लाख का एक्सपेंडिचर आया, राइट? सॉरी 5 लाख का एक्सपेंडिचर आया और वेरिएबल कॉस्ट पर प्रोडक्ट का लेट्स से 50 रुपीज़ है. सो आप समझ रहे हो, जो पहला जो प्रोडक्ट बनेगा उसका कॉस्ट कितना होगा फर्म के लिए? 5 lakhs प्लस 50 रुपीज़, बिकॉज दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट, राइट? इसके बिना तो पहला प्रोडक्ट बन नहीं सकता. बट एंड लेट्स से सपोज दिस इज द योर सेलिंग प्राइस इज 100 रुपीज़. So when you produce only one stylus, what will happen? The cost will be 5 lakhs plus 50, but you will be selling it only for 100 rupees. So it's a big loss, right? Then what will keep on? Let's say you produce one more stylus. So what will the cost? Fixed cost plus 15 to 50, 100. But what will be your revenue? 200 rupees, right? Okay, now you are selling 2 stylus. So generally what happens as you keep on increasing your, volume, production you are doing, your fixed cost is absorbed. Absorbed means gradually as the difference, the difference between selling price and the cost price is called contribution. What it is called? Contribution. See, try to understand this important term is very, very important, right? What it says, suppose you are selling this stylus for 100 rupees, but your cost price is how much? Your variable cost is 100 rupees, right? So, your 50 rupees which you are getting for the first 2 stylus, that is absorbing your fixed cost, right? So there you have to reach a particular, at least you have to reach a particular number of volume before you break even. आपकी कंपनी जिससे पहले की प्रॉफिट कमाना शुरू करे, उससे पहले आपको कुछ नंबर ऑफ ये बनाने पड़ेंगे. ओके, सो दैट इज a very, very important idea. So, see, at one time you realize that economics, management, finance, all these are related. In fact, there are some tools. If you know those tools, you can easily steer into management, economics, finance. So, one such tool is this, contribution. So, now here W represent wages. Okay. Now, see, try to understand this formula. What is saying? आपका मार्जिनल कॉस्ट किसी एक एडिशनल उसका, राइट, प्रोडक्ट का क्या होगा? वेज, जो आपका वेज है, जो आप पे कर रहे हो, वेज अपॉन एमपीएन. एमपीएन क्या था? एमपीएन वी जस्ट नाउ सॉ, एमपीएन इज नथिंग बट द डेल्टा वाई अपॉन एन. डेल्टा वाई क्या? जितना आपका एडिशनल आउटपुट आ रहा है, राइट? और डेल्टा एन क्या है? एक एडिशनल लेबर का. सो can you think about this? Just try to think what this formula is saying. See, whenever this is important idea. Whenever your mind is exposed to some new idea, to make it a rule, you have to keep that. You have to think about that idea for some time. If you keep that idea for 1 or 2 additional seconds in your mind, it remains with you, right? Whether it is in economics, maths, or any other subject. So is this fine? Marginal cost कितना होगा आपका? जो उसका वेज दे रहा है और उसके एमपीएन के डिवाइडेड. पता है, इज कन्विंसिंग? ओके. So this is the formula you must know, and generally what happens, marginal cost. See, what happens? We assume that it is a competitive market. When the market is competitive, what is the condition? That marginal cost will be equal to price, right? See, marginal cost क्या होगा? Price. क्योंकि प्रॉफिट्स हो. See, यदि मान लो कोई भी प्रॉफिट्स कमा रहा है, तो इसका मतलब मार्केट एफिशिएंट है. सो कॉम्पिटेटिव मार्केट में क्या होगा कि देयर विल बी नो आर्बिट्राज. सी, आर्बिट्राज एक ऐसा वर्ड है विच यू मस्ट नो, राइट? बिकॉज आर्बिट्राज का मतलब क्या होता है कि एट विदाउट नॉट विदाउट टेकिंग. आर्बिट्राज आप इस तरह बोलोगे, लेट्स से इफ समबडी बाइज अ बॉन्ड एक मार्केट से 100 रुपये का खरीद के, और दूसरे मार्केट में उसको 110 पे सेल कर रहा है, तो दिस इज ए कंडीशन ऑफ आर्बिट्राज. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. नहीं तो ऐसा करने लो तो हर कोई कर लेगा ना, right? So this is an example of arbitrage. So generally when the markets are competitive, we assume that there is no arbitrage. And what is the second condition? Your marginal cost is equal to price. Okay, so then you can price of the product. So this equation you must know, right? So once you have known this equation, then I do not want to go into economics, but this thing also you know that demand of labor and the demand of supply is given by this formula. And what is that? W upon P. Okay, just a minute. Let me see. That I'm putting the negative and labor supply. W. See, let me. See, I'm deliberately putting. Oh, sorry. Okay, how to do it? Now this is fine. So this is your labor demand, right? And your labor supply formula will be given by W upon P, right? Just a minute, what is happening? Okay. See what this means. What this negative means. If the real wages will reduce, labor will reduce. See, real wage is a very very important concept in many countries. See, real wage का actually इंडिया में तो I'm not very sure कि कितना डेटा रिलीज होता है, लेकिन रियल वेज का डेटा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. लेट्स से somebody says my salary is increasing, okay, but you have to take into consideration inflation as well, right? If you do not take into consideration inflation, so maybe it looks like the salary is increasing but the standard of living is decreasing. See, in US people see what is not in the US, in many countries this generation is not living a very high standard. The standard of living is decreasing, right? So that's why the real wages become very very important. And why this phenomenon is becoming important? Mainly due to the concentration of wealth. What you study this na ki top 1% people are owning almost 50% asset of this world, right? That's why it is very very important to focus on real wages. Okay, so these are the see, it is very convincing now. आपका डिमांड लेबर का कितना डिमांड होगा, जो आपके वेजेस हैं और उसको डिवाइड कर दीजिए प्राइस से, एक फंक्शन है, राइट? इसी तरह सप्लाई कितना होगा, जो वेजेस हैं और प्राइस से, इसके ऊपर आपका लेबर का सप्लाई एंड डिमांड. ठीक है, अब ये कैसे, यानी अभी इस लेक्चर में हम नहीं जा सकते उस डिटेल में, बट मे बी सम अदर डे वी विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. After this, let me now discuss about something about quantity theory of money, which is important. Okay, again, quantity theory of money is the part of classical school, right? And it was mainly given by which economist? Irving Fisher. And I think in which year? Maybe around the 1930s में कुछ होगा, I cannot recall the year. So what is it? Quantity theory of money. और क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी पे इनडायरेक्टली यूपीएससी प्रीलिम्स में, यानी आप सोच सकते हो क्वेश्चन आता है. मेंस के क्वेश्चन तो थोड़े डिफरेंट है. मेंस के क्वेश्चन जो यूपीएससी के हैं, दैट इज थीमेटिक्स. ओके, सो लेकिन प्री में इसका इम्पोर्टेंस है. क्वांटिटी थ्योरी ऑफ मनी, इट वाज गिवन बाय इरविन Fisher. Okay, he was an economist, he was a Nobel laureate as well. And what it says, generally it says simple thing, MV is equal to PY. Okay, this equation it gives. What it says, M stands for money supply. M stands for, okay, I'm writing here, M stands for money supply. Okay, V stands for velocity of money. Okay, P is for prices, Y is for output. Okay, see, this equation is very simple. It's like, let's say somebody write 2 into 5 is equal to 10 into 1, right? वही है ये simple. Okay. पहले आप money supply तो is clear, right? How much the money is being supplied in the economy. Now think about the velocity of the money. Velocity of the money, what it means, the number of transactions. If the number of transactions are happening, if there are a large number of transactions, so that will increase the velocity of the money. See, UPSC में क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा? UPSC में क्वेश्चन पूछा है प्रीलिम्स में, आई थिंक 2-3 years back. They asked, the question was, it was related to, how the money increases, something like that. But one of the options was by the banking habits of the people, right? How the money, I cannot even recall the question exactly, but it was, how the money is created in the economy. So one of the option was through banking habits. So your velocity of the money in an economy will be decided by the banking habits. If people are doing lots of transaction, right? So that will increase the velocity of the money, right? So generally, okay, one more thing. Generally, we assumed output is constant, right? We assumed the output. See, why output is constant? Because you studied in mercantilism school, that what we said in mercantilism school, that the state has to intervene to increase the to create the market, right? But what the classical economists said, no. Classical economists said no. That is, there is no need for state intervention. So we assumed output is constant. So this thing, this equation you must keep in mind, and I will read 2-3 important lines from a paper written by Professor Fisher. Just okay. What Irvin Fisher writes, he says, we find that under the condition assumed, the price level varies. So what Professor Fisher says, we find that under the condition assumed, the price level varies directly as the quantity of money in circulation, right? So iske proportional hai. As the price is, price will be according. It makes sense as well. If there is a larger money supply, iske andar inflation ho raha hai, right? Price badhega. So that is the first thing. Second thing, he said, directly as the velocity of its circulation. यानी जैसे आपकी velocity ज़्यादा होगी, उसकी वजह से भी price ज़्यादा होगा. If the number of transactions are happening, large, then also your price will increase. And inversely as the volume of trade, inversely as the volume of trade done by it, right? So this is the volume of trade. Okay, so this is the important thing. Second, one more point which you must write. Professor Fisher writes, the important assumption is that the quantity of money was exogenously controlled by the monetary policy authority. See, monetary policy authority means your central banks, right? So what will the quantity of money that will be controlled by your central banks, right? Now what we assume here, see, what is the important implication of this quantity theory of money? Its important implication is this. Here, generally we put bar. So see, if you understand this, so what it's trying to say, see, let's say these two are constant. When you put bar, you say they are constant. So velocity is constant, your output is constant. So your money flow is proportional to price level. This is the important implication of quantity theory of money, right? Now, okay, see, after Irvin Fisher, one more school came related to this quantity theory of money. It is called Cambridge approach. Cambridge approach to quantity theory of money. Quantity theory of money. See, more or less, they said the same thing, but they wrote the equation like this: 1 upon k is equal to p y. right? More or less their assumption was same. So here what it is, V is equal to 1 upon K, and mainly in Cambridge school, who were the professors? Professor Alfred Marshall, and A.C. Pigou. Okay, they were main two proponents of the Cambridge school. And you see, yesterday, in the last lecture, we were discussing what is the main difference between the classical and neoclassical. So this is an example where the classical and neoclassical school differ. So Irving Fisher, part of classical school, and Alfred Marshall and A.C. Pigou, they are the part of a neoclassical school. And what is the difference they have? What is the difference they put in? Equation of this quantity theory of money. This is velocity, and this is your 1 by K, right? So more or less same thing. Now, just a minute. Through this quantity theory of money, you can find out the aggregate demand curve. Okay. So I assume you will do that. Now let me just show you this thing. Just a minute. This is aggregate supply, and this is your aggregate demand curve. Okay, these are your aggregate demand curve. See, here you must know, as the money supply will increase, your demand curve will shift to the right. Why? Any idea? Let's say I say my money supply is increasing. Okay, why it will shift my demand curve to the right? Because prices will increase, right? Just now we saw that money MV is equal to PY, right? So what we saw, money supply is directly proportional to price. So as your money supply, let's say here money supply is equal to 300. Here money supply is equal to, money supply is equal to 400 in this case. So what is happening, whenever you increase the money supply, your demand curve will shift to right, and this is your supply curve. So and you know that supply curve in the classical school is constant, right? We saw now, right? So this is what if this is the demand curve, this will be your equilibrium point, this will be your price, this will be your output, and let's say your money supply is increased, so this will be your price, and this will be so what is the most important observation? Output is constant, right? So I believe, see, in these lectures we are trying to build foundation. After 7-8 lectures, when the foundation is done, then we will move into the thematic ideas. Okay, so next class we will meet. Thank you very much.